the real game is called, they are nowhere to run even for award election, Mr. Speaker. And that will happen in 2027, Mr. Speaker. And therefore, what is the future? As we congratulate His Excellency Mohammed Ali Yusuf of Djibouti, although I saw his speech and I was disappointed that we had more money and more power, Mr. Speaker, I thought he would have been more magnanimous. You know, in victory, under 48 laws of power, in Robert Greene, you should know when to stop celebrating. It is one of the basic tenets of 48 laws of power in Robert Greene, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, and therefore it is very unfortunate to come from him when he wants to unite the country. He will be the biggest envoy. Senator Wanyonga will tell you, His Excellency Ali Mausuf Mohammed will be the biggest envoy of Africa. And therefore he should give a message of hope, of unity across the African continent, Mr. Speaker. We expect him to handle the DRC crisis, the Sudan crisis, Mr. Speaker, and many other crises that we face as a world, as a global nation, Mr. Speaker. The future of Africa, we need to agree. We need to ensure we trade more in the trade within Africa region. Why would I need a visa to travel to Ghana or even to South Africa, Mr. Speaker? And we are Africans. We should promote a visa-free Africa, where one African even work. There are many students from Masai Mara University. I wish to see them working in South Africa as experts or as civil servants in South Africa, in Namibia, in Ghana, in Tunisia, Mr. Speaker, in Djibouti, among other countries, Mr. Speaker. Number two, we must encourage open-air skies. It is unfortunate sometimes when we are flying to West Africa, you must fly to France so that you can fly back. It is more nearer to fly to London than to fly to some of the West Africa, Mr. Speaker. We must agree that we must promote open skies and aviation, Mr. Speaker, so that we can go into the future, Mr. Speaker. And in fact, as I talk, the reforms in Kenya Airways is long overdue, Mr. Speaker. We must, Mr. Speaker, we must ensure that we encourage Kenya Airways, which was now pride of Africa, is disappointing, Mr. Speaker. I saw even the Nigerian embassy, Nigerian civil aviation penalizing, Mr. Speaker, penalizing the KQ.
Sorry, Senator Cherargei. What is it you are saying, Senator Morgan?
Fax Ghana?
Go to the dispatch box if it's not working.
Oh, yeah, Mr. Speaker, you know, everything that we say on this floor goes on record. And Senator Cherargei knows that under our standing orders, he should not make statements that are misleading. He has just stated on this floor that to fly to West Africa, you first go to France, then come back to West Africa. Yet, Mr. Speaker, Kenya Airways flies direct to several West African countries, including Nigeria, direct to Nigeria. It goes to Cameroon. It goes to Bamako in Mali. So is it in order, Mr. Speaker, to make a misleading statement on the floor that the skies in Africa have not been open to our Kenya Airways?
Senator Cherargei, which country were you referring to?
His mine is in Nyamira. Mr. Speaker, what I said is some flights. I didn't say Kenya Airways. It needs to, you can check the answer. I say some flights. I did not say Kenya Airways specifically. I just came into Kenya Airways by saying we must revive Kenya Airways, we must revitalize Kenya Airways to turn around profitability. Because the way Kenya Airways is being run is being run down, Mr. Speaker. And the Kenya Kwanza Manifesto, one of our key components was aviation turnaround in terms of increasing cargo to ensure we give more revenue to Kenya Airways. And we have had a discussion about Kenya Airways. We must agree that even as we ensure there is open skies and aviation sector in Africa, we must make it vibrant so that is movement of people and services, Mr. Speaker. And I can see the senior counsel is nodding in agreement that Kenya Airways must be reformed, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, on the issue of military cooperation, I agree. We need to work more better. We have seen even, and I'm happy President William Ruto has requested African Union to include Haiti as one of the member of African Union, Mr. Speaker. And we are proud as Kenya. We have read the mission in Haiti, Mr. Speaker, despite opposition from even within the country and outside the country. And therefore, as Kenya, we have a lot to showcase the world in terms of issues that we... So military cooperation, I know when African Union and Kenya is called upon, We have crisis in DRC, Mr. Speaker. I am told the M23 are making progress in Bukavu. They are headed near to Burundi, Bujumbura. We must Africa, Mr. We have Sudan crisis, where rapid response RSF is in Sudan, in Africa, in Kenya here. And I have seen the statement from Foreign Affairs from Sudan. We must pursue peace the way we did for South Sudan, Mr. Speaker. We need a peaceful Africa to ensure we have trade. And the only person who could bring experience, who knows the dynamics of Africa, the true son of Pan-Africanism was Raila Odinga. I still insist African Union lost the best. Despite that, His Excellency Ali Mausuf won. Winning in an election does not mean you are competent. It means you have just won. But it doesn't mean that you are bringing the best on the table, Mr. Speaker. And therefore, Raila Odinga, with so many years that he has fought for rule of democracy, human rights, devolution, the new constitution, the track record was well-decorated CV that could transform this country, Mr. Speaker. And Raila Odinga has been one of the few leaders who is not tribal. If you see at the voting pattern, in many elections he has contested in this country, he has gotten the votes from across the country, Mr. Speaker. And therefore, we need to ensure. Mr. Speaker, the third point I wanted to make, I think it is now the right time to fully implement the NADCO report, the National Dialogue Report, Mr. Speaker. Raila Odinga has huge and well-decorated track record of fighting for democracy, rule of law. When Raila Odinga was fighting the previous regime, some of the people who are in opposition, Mr. Speaker, who are now correcting messes, were in that government that were pursuing even abuses of human rights, and they want to lecture us about, Mr. Speaker, how a country should be run. When Raila Odinga was fighting for this constitution, rule of law, democracy, some of the people who are correcting him, Mr. Speaker, who are fighting him now, were in that system, Mr. Speaker, the KANU system, Mr. Speaker. So therefore, when Raila Odinga comes, we can use him. He has huge, he's an elder statesman, Mr. Speaker, and the full implementation of NADCO, we must make Raila Odinga the Prime Minister of the Republic of Kenya. Even the Prime Cabinet Secretary, the Prime Cabinet Minister, he must, Mr. Speaker, be given that position to assist in expanding, deepening, and widening the broad-based government and stability of this country, Mr. Speaker. We have even started, Mr. Speaker, we have even started even broad-based within Parliament.
Senator Methu, what's your point of order?
Of course, I would not have wanted to interrupt the good senator from Nandi, but I'm standing on Standing Order 105, responsibility of statement of fact. May I know, because I have read the NADCO report page by page to the last page, which of the recommendations of the NADCO report he bases his argument that Raila Odinga is the one that will become the Prime Minister? Because our position of the Prime Minister will be there, but there is nowhere in the NADCO report that it proposes the Honorable Raila Odinga. And actually, I don't think the NADCO report was formulated to assimilate and have Raila Odinga join government. It is actually demeaning the position of Raila Odinga to say that the whole NADCO report is just about creating a position for him. So, Honorable Speaker, I wish that you direct this and find the senator out of order for insinuating that the NADCO report has a clause that proposes that Raila Odinga, the person, becomes the Prime Minister.
Very well, Senator Cherargei. I think you've understood the question.
Yes, I've understood. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for seeing you today in the morning. Mr. Speaker, as I encourage, and after this I will buy an air comp for my brother, Senator Methu, I agree. In fact, he has answered himself by insinuating. I didn't say the NADCO report has the name Raila Odinga. As a leader, I believe Raila Odinga should serve this nation in any capacity. And in my own opinion, as the senator of Nandi, I feel he should be given the position of Prime Minister. We need to expand and fully implement the National Dialogue Committee report. We are already doing broad-based. We are now in this across the aisle. We are exchanging chairs within Parliament, Mr. Speaker. Therefore, I want to insist, even as we move forward, as we broaden the engagement of broad-based government, the Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga, Mr. Speaker, has the history of this country. He has the track record of rule of law. He has served as a Prime Minister before. There is nothing unique, Mr. Even as we push to amend the Constitution in Article 257 or 256, either by popular or parliamentary initiative of the Constitution 2010, he can serve at the moment as the Prime Cabinet Secretary as we reorganize the government going into the future, Mr. Speaker. Even Senator, it is free, my brother Senator Methu, and he knows I have tremendous respect and we respect each other. We are even pushing for an enactment of official opposition leader. So as they fight in his formation, Mr. Speaker, I'm telling them there is already a seat where the people like Wajakoya, people like Alonso Mushoka, people like, and the rest who will lose in 2027 after William Ruto is re-elected by the support of Baba, they will be automatically, will finance them. We'll give them an office, we'll give them official cars, we'll ensure they sit either in the Senate and National Assembly. And that is the NADCO report that we are proposing, Mr. Speaker. So no one will lose. We hate to see people who are so losers who are shouting in centers, funerals. We want them to stop talking from funerals. We want them to come to the floor of the House and critique the government. And I want to assure you, with the support of Raila Amolo Odinga, William Ruto will be elected by over 80% for his re-election. In 2032, people like Eddie, tunaweza anza kujipanga at that level, Mr. Speaker. So I want to say in conclusion, because I've seen my time is spent, Mr. Speaker, let us have an open mind. This nation, the young people sitting at your gallery, need the guidance and leadership of this. We must agree as a nation. We want a nation. When you go here to Tanzania, they don't care which tribe you come from. You are a Chaga, you are a Suguma, you are a Maasai. They don't care who you are. They will only elect you because you are competent, Mr. Speaker. So we need to encourage as a nation. Let us have a tribeless leadership, Mr. Speaker. And I want to encourage the minority side led by Senator Ledama. Even as we engage on broad-based, you must clean your house. We cannot be saying we are broad-based, yet we have people who are opposing the broad-based within yourself, Mr. Speaker. And I know you know the person you are seated next to you on your right, Mr. Speaker. It is better to give that seat to Senator Hedi and other people, Mr. Speaker, so that you can have a one united front. Let us release people like Senator Wambua to go and oppose government freely instead of opposing government within. This is a broad-based government. May it long live under the leadership of William Ruto and Raila Odinga. Mr. Speaker, with those many remarks, I support and I thank you.
Senator Eddie Okech.